If you're looking for accommodation in The Hague, in a lot of rental listings priced from 800 to 13 or 1400, you will see a line, housing permit required. In this video, we'll go briefly over what a housing permit is, and I'll share my experience on how to get it and what's the process of getting a housing permit looks like. Let's start. It's important to know that The Hague is not the only one municipality that requires a housing permit for affordable housing. But it's kind of one of the largest, so I'm using it as an example. In a lot of cities in the Netherlands, including Amsterdam, you can just rent anything you can afford with your salary. However, there are several municipalities that said, it's not fair, we need to create accommodation for the middle class. So they limited the ability to rent cheap accommodation for people with decent income. Because if your salary is 6,000 euro, don't go chasing an apartment for 1,000. Find something that matches your income. And that's the idea behind the housing permit. An affordable housing permit is a permit that allows you to live in an inexpensive rental property. The municipality makes sure that these homes are rented out to people who earn a lower income, which is a good thing, I guess. And of course, the competition for such apartments is insanely intense because, well, everyone wants to pay less. And I guess that's also a good thing because if it weren't for the housing permit, a lot of highly skilled migrants would be competing for this type of accommodation, which is not really fair. By the way, if you are looking for an apartment in the Netherlands right now and you are not getting a lot of viewing invitations, watch this video because it contains like the most widespread mistakes people make while trying to apply for an apartment. It will help to make your application much stronger. And by the way, a lot of expats who arrive to the Netherlands as highly skilled migrants think that this accommodation that requires a housing permit is some type of social accommodation for the poor, which is not true. Social housing is completely another thing, it's much cheaper, and the properties that require a housing permit usually target middle class. These are comfortable, normal apartments. Take a look at this apartment. It's spacious, it looks great, and it's conveniently located in the center of the city. Whether a particular accommodation requires a housing permit or not is based on some kind of system with a lot of points and a lot of factors which are taken into consideration, so we won't go into a lot of detail right now. In The Hague, almost any apartment priced between 800 and 1300 requires a housing permit. So how do you get this permit? First, you need to check that you're eligible. And here are the requirements. You have to be at least 18 years, you have to have a Dutch citizenship or a valid residence permit. If you live alone, your taxable annual income has to be lower than 61,000. And if you are living with your partner, your taxable income has to be lower than 77,000. Mind that these figures change on an annual basis. So here's my story of how I applied for a housing permit and got it. In 2022, I was eligible for a housing permit. So as we were viewing the apartments with my husband, we asked the realtors on what do we do to get it? And it turned out to be a circle of despair because to get a housing permit, you first need a signed contract with your landlord. And for a landlord to sign a contract with you, they need to see that you are eligible for a housing permit. So they need a paper from the municipality. And everybody knows that there's something wrong with the system and the sequence of steps here, but it's just the way it is. So here's the way it works in the reality. First, you check that you are eligible, then you are viewing the apartment, and as you're picked by the landlord as the final candidate they're willing to rent out the apartment to, you will need to provide your details. After you sign a contract with the landlord, you will also have to ask them to sign an additional paper required for the housing permit. And then you take those two documents, your contract and this paper, and you just send them to municipality. It was a crazy stressful experience for me because I had already moved into the apartment at that point, and I was thinking like, what if they don't provide this housing permit? What if I'm rejected for some reasons I'm not even aware of? That's always stressful when you're doing it for the first time, and that's exactly the reason why I'm doing this video. The municipality takes 8 weeks to process the application, and within this time frame you will get a response response. Unlike a lot of communication in the Netherlands, at least in The Hague, you will get a response by email. Luckily, it was okay. I was approved and I got the response from the municipality within 3 weeks or so. And after I got it, I just forwarded it to the landlord so that they have this information too. If this video was helpful, please hit the like button. And if you're interested in living in the Netherlands, subscribe to my channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos on the life in the Netherlands. Thank you for watching and see you next week.